Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Wealth Clock podcast with Stephen Weinstock. I'm your host. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. Today we have Trevor Thompson, sometimes known as K, the letter K, Trevor Thompson. And that's how you'll find him on social media. Just a little about me. I've been in real estate about 25 years. I started out buying single family homes, moved into multifamily real estate syndications, and recently launched my real estate mortgage fund where we are investing in debt, are buying existing or brand new first lien positions. And we took out the property management aspect of owning the real estate. We're acting as the bank with this fund. We're really enjoying it and it's doing extremely well. Reach out to me if you have any questions about that. Before we start, we have a sponsor. NOI. NOI stands for net operating income. Cable NOI will tell any owner of a 20-unit building if they can earn extra revenue from the cable companies. Charter, Spectrum, AT&T, Verizon. If you have 20 units and above, there is no cost ever. So it's not just no cost to find out, there's no cost ever. You don't have to tell your tenants to sign up here. The tenants will just call their regular local cable company and you'll get a piece of the revenue. And they will also pay you an upfront per door fee, somewhere in the range of about $150 to $200 per door, and then an ongoing revenue of the tenant's internet, TV, somewhere in the 5 to 6% range. It's Cable NOI, cablenoi.com. Reach out to them, tell them you heard about them on this podcast. Let's get to it. Trevor Thompson. I'm going to call you Trevor. You are a VP of Investor Engagement with Massive Capital, commercial real estate investor since 2018, and you have experience in over 35 syndications as both LP and GP. Trevor, thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here, Steve. Thanks for having me.
All right. Where are you based out of?
I live in Austin, Texas now.
Okay. And the syndications that you're involved in, is
Are
that in
mostly
Texas?
in Texas, but we have some properties in North Carolina and Colorado as well.
Oh, Colorado. Okay. Very nice. How did you get into real estate?
Yeah, so it's very interesting. So I was always fascinated with real estate, but terrified of toilets, tenants, and trash. I always believed I had to be a millionaire to become a commercial real estate investor. So I just sat on the sidelines and kept going to work, kept doing different things, kept thinking about real estate. Then the company I worked with got bought out by a private equity group and I got a payday. So I said, okay, no more excuses. You gotta go now. You got some cash. And I went to basically 3 different weekend seminars. And the third one talked about multifamily syndication. And I went, where have you been my whole life? This is exactly what I was looking for. I literally invested within a week of being in the conference. And then one of the first people that I invested with, he's actually one of the partners of Massive Capital. So again, this connecting with people, getting a relationship, learning how. Then I became a very active passive investor because I had a job. I didn't have time to think about doing anything but. And then I started to get really interested in it. And then, like so many people, COVID came along. I was looking over the cliff thinking of leaving work, and they pushed me off the cliff and said, we don't need you anymore. And so I said, all right, that's it. I'm doing this full time. Hence, a lot more GP side deals where I mostly raise capital and do investor engagement, but we also do a ton of education.
Got it. So before I ask you about Massive Capital, tell me about your background. What was your first job you ever had? What
Yeah, so
industry?
I'm an interesting character. Probably I have a video, Am I the Most Interesting Man? So I'm originally from Niagara Falls, Canada. I started working for Ripley's, believe it or not, at age 13. I worked there all for high school. Then I moved down the street and I worked for Guinness World of Records. I ran one in the Empire State Building in New York, opened a location in Los Angeles. Super cool fact about the Los Angeles location, Michael Jackson was a huge fan. And actually, we gave him a Lifetime Achievement Award while I was with Guinness, and I had lunch with him Then I wanted to open a Guinness in Orlando, Florida, the land of Mickey Mouse and tourism. That deal fell through. Strangely enough, I opened a year-round haunted house, stayed there for 3 years, and then got recruited by iFly Indoor Skydiving, and over 20 years opened 46 locations out of 80 all over the world.
Wow, iFly. Yeah, sure. I see them all the time. I
Yeah.
see them on the side of the highways, these big tall buildings. I
Yeah.
believe my kids went to the location. I want to say either near Orlando or somewhere.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
correct. There's one on International Drive. Yes, sir.
got it. Got it. Oh,
Yeah.
very cool. Okay.
That's where I
Wow.
started. There was one originally down the street from Wet and Wild, and then it moved up more on International Drive. But yeah, 20 years with that company. It was great.
So this is the company you mentioned that got bought out and
That's correct. Got bought
got
out
it.
by private equity. They proved that they didn't have a clue what they were doing and gave it back to the bank about 3 years later. So that
Oh
was an
wow.
interesting journey.
Oh wow. Wow. And you're no longer involved.
That's correct. I got let go in 2020.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Very interesting. Very nice. Do a whole podcast just on iFly probably
It could. It
and
was
how it started.
amazing. It was an amazing journey. I loved it.
So tell me about your first, okay, you went to a weekend seminar or a bunch of them, got hooked on the concept of multifamily. I'm going to assume because it didn't have those three T's that you mentioned, the toilets, trash, and what was the third one?
Tenants, yeah,
Tenants, right?
toilets, passion for trash and
Right,
tenants.
right. So you got hooked on the concept of, I guess, investing as an LP
Yes.
into multifamily syndications. You had some money to splash around. And what was the first deal you went into as an LP?
Yeah, so it was 176 stores in San Antonio, Texas. Then the next one was 58 doors in Houston, and I just kept going from there.
Do you Do you remember the structure of how it was set up that first deal you went into?
Yeah, so it was an 80-20 split. No preferred payment, very simple preferred payment. And in fact, they didn't even know about cost segregation. So I've learned a lot since then. But yeah, it was a straight 80-20 split. Unfortunately, that first deal, basically, we got in a lot of trouble on that property. And actually, I was only an LP, but I was super interested in learning. So I volunteered as an asset manager. But COVID just kicked our butt there as we were going through it, and we basically got out at zero, which was unfortunate.
Got it. Okay. When you say at zero, you just came
Like
out even?
everybody got their money back, nobody lost money. And then, I've done everything from I have a couple of deals recently that did lose some money, but then I've also had some huge winners. I was an investor in a passive deal, and they 3x my money in 20 months. I'd like a few more of those.
Yeah, sure, sure. Yeah, a lot of people who sold in, 21 and maybe bought
Yeah.
in 18, did well.
Did really well, yeah. And then everybody who bought in 21 is doing as well.
Right, right. There's some people bought in 21, 22 are struggling. As long as they could hold on and hopefully they either
Yeah.
are not in a bridge loan or got out of the bridge loan and got some permanent financing. As long as you could hold on, you should be okay. So tell me how you went from being an LP, you volunteered to be an asset manager.
Yeah. So I
um,
volunteered to be an asset manager. And then the first time I became a GP, a friend of mine called me and said, I know I was working really hard, right? So I always go to every show and say, if you want to buy a property in Texas and you don't live here, I'll go do your broker tour for you. I'll do all your reports, send it to it. And I came like third, second, never could win a deal with this group. Long story short, they had another property and they ended up being short on the raise and said, could you join us and raise some capital? So that was the first time I raised a little bit of capital, got in with that group. I was really hoping that would lead to a second deal with them in Texas, but it didn't. But that was my very first one. And then my second one was, I kept trying to get on deals, right? Is I just wanted to be on a team and be on a deal. I really enjoyed it. And then I got with a group and then joining Massive Capital is where most of the deals have happened. So 13 of the 16 have happened in the 3 years I've been with Massive Capital.
so Massive Capital is a company that you joined or that you started or
No, so Massive Capital was started by three main partners. And one of the partners is who I originally invested with 7.5 years ago. Another one was been a friend of mine for like 5 or 6 years. And then a third one, actually before Massive Capital was tried, we tried to buy a deal together. And we just had a lot of synergy, but they started the group without me. And then I just started watching them. And then they said, okay, how can we fit it in? And so that's when I made up my own title, Investor Engagement, because I really wanted to create a community. We wanted to do a lot of educating. And so I'm referred to as an equity partner. So the main three partners own the deals. And then I'm the capital raiser for the main three partners. And the original real estate group I invested with, it has like 5,000 members in Texas. I'm their coach for passive investing. So I get a lot of built in people because we start all our deals as 506B. It's a closed loop community. So that's where I do raise a lot of capital in that original group I joined.
Wow, very interesting. And I guess you're really enjoying this aspect of the business. What kind of properties is Massive Capital acquiring?
So we're mostly value add multifamily, but we've done new build retail development. And again, that started because of the debt crisis. We had a friend who was building some retail and all the money dried up, right? And so they were building, it's 16,000 square feet, literally 15 minutes from my house. And we basically couldn't get the deal done because nobody was lending money. So we said, well, let's try syndication model. So we raised some of the capital. We bought the land, put the land as collateral for a construction loan, and we're leasing up and hopefully be full cycle at the end of this year. We're also doing a 60,000 square foot deal with them in Houston, same sort of idea. And then our first RV park and a few assisted living and storage. So we're in theory somewhat asset class agnostic, but we always have a strong partner. So Massive Capital also has a mentoring program called Massive Masters. And a lot of the folks in our program are experienced, and we basically help them get to the next level.
You said storage. Do you mean like self-storage?
Yes.
Are these with National Flag or
No,
French?
these are all Mon Pa ones. So I'm a passive investor in a brand new build one in Charlotte, but all of these are Mon Pa. And same thing with the RV parks. They're basically poorly run parks with lots of opportunity with for sophisticated operator.
What does your average day look like these days?
6 hours a day on Zoom talking to investors or doing educational webinars. And then with this real estate group, we're basically all Central Texas. So I'm at a meetup in Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio with this real estate group. Every month I go to those three locations and meet in person with our members.
The average investor that you're speaking to, what's their background? Are they doctors and lawyers? Are they rich nepo babies, or if that's what it's called?
So the majority of them are because the real estate network I'm in basically are the most of the members are doing foreclosures subject to wraps. I call them wannabe real estate entrepreneurs. They had enough money to buy into a mastermind program, but they can't use their retirement funds in their own deals. They can do a lot of things. So more than 60% of my investors through that group invest with me with their retirement funds. And so we're getting that. But I would say for the last 3 years I've been doing this, 60% of my investors, I'm their first investment ever on a passive syndication. Now, they may own 3 or 4 single family homes. They do everything. And then there are some fairly high net worth individuals that are been dabbling, but realize that they don't like toilets, tenants, and trash either. And this concept of being a passive investor, so out of all of my investors, there's a dozen of them that are in the 250K plus investors, but most of them are the K minimum to 100.
So on some of these new deals that you're doing recently, you're on the GP side or still on the
That's
LP
correct.
side?
Yeah,
On
through
the
through
GP side.
Massive Capital. So basically, Massive Capital provides the infrastructure, provides all of the systems, the net worth, liquidity, and experience. And then we also raise the capital, but we stay involved on the asset management side. So we're compliant. And again, all of these are folks that are within our ecosystem.
Understood. So you'll have some operators that will partner up with Massive Capital. You obviously vet them,
That's
make sure they have
correct.
experience. You vet the actual deal itself. And then you guys, Massive Capital, will come in, handle the banking aspect, the lending
Yeah.
aspect, and the equity raise aspect.
And what's happening, we've created this big beast and we probably get like 50 deals a week. We have 2 folks overseas that do back of napkin underwriting all night. That's all they do. And they end up in the morning on Monday.com. And again, we have 400 students in the thing. They're divided in different teams and asset classes. And basically we'll say, hey, it's Steve's team's turn. And they upload that deal for you to look at, underwrite. Then you underwrite it within your group. If it works, then you take it to a main underwriting call where the partners are there reviewing the underwriting. And then if it makes sense, we put out a ton of offers. Like I think right now we have 10 accepted LOIs, but 60% failure rate, right? Because we throw a lot of spaghetti on the wall, and we're not afraid to walk away. Unfortunately, sometimes we're walking away losing 30, 50, 60, $80,000. But if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But we're in more of a volume game.
Is there any deals that come across your plate that instantly you don't even open based on location?
Yes. So we don't do, well, we stick to our corridor where we know. If we don't have a solid member boots on the ground in that market or within you know, we don't want people to get on airplanes to be the asset manager. They have to be, it has to be less than you can come and go in a day if you got to get in the car and go. We also won't do a deal unless somebody is full-time doing it, boots on the ground or full-time people. Then we'll do a deal. And we stay away from Gulf Coast. We've stayed away from Florida. We do Houston, but we don't do anything on the Gulf.
Got it. How about the Northeast?
We've not done anything. So again, we've done North Carolina and Colorado really was they're very two small deals, and we just did them with a local partner.
Very interesting. And give me 1 second. Okay. You mentioned before that you guys have a mastermind, the master class. I think you called it Massive Mastermind?
Massive
Masters. And how many people are in that group?
About 400 now.
And what's the fee to join the group?
It's depends on what level you join, like 25 or 50,000 basically.
Got it. And there's 400 people paying, 20,000 plus. Oh, wow. Okay. So obviously just by the price tag of this class, of this group, really vets and really weeds out.
It does. Yeah, you've got to be committed. And then some of the folks still have day jobs, but usually, so we put everybody in teams. So when you go through, so we do a 3-day training session, and then we sign up new students, and they all end up in a 6-week boot camp. And so at the beginning, they're kind of a team, but as they get going, they join other teams, and they basically self-select where they're going to go. And then let's say, Steve, you get a deal. What you will do is you'll be able to post and say, listen, I've got a deal and this is what I'm looking for. So again, we're not 100% of the balance sheet. We want to make sure that our partners are on the line too, right? So can you bring equity? Can you bring risk cap, earnest money to a deal? Can you sign on a loan? What's your net worth? Can you got the thing to be able to do that? Are you local? So again, we have a gentleman in Houston. He's buying a deal in Houston, a deal in San Antonio, and he has a partner in Houston and a partner in San Antonio, two different partners that literally live like 15 minutes from the asset we're buying. And so we self-selected and said, I want you to join my team. Would you like to join my team? And again, they've all joined because they want to get there, right? That's why they've joined. And again, we're very different than other masterminds. There's a minimum of 1 call a day for an hour. Most days have 2 to 3 hours of calls. It's super intensive, and they're working on all of these deals day and night. When a deal happens, a WhatsApp channel gets created. I got more WhatsApp channels than I got real friends, and everybody communicates on that WhatsApp channel. And for me, what I do is I set them all up on the cash flow portal. I make sure all the documents get uploaded. I help them onboard their investors. So that's how a lot of support we give them.
When you were with your previous company, did you deal with any of the real estate part of the business?
I did not. Other than at the very beginning, they would send me to look if I thought it was an okay location. But we had basically we had a real estate group, we had a construction group, and an operating group. And I was on the operating group. So basically, once a location was ready to open, I hired all of the team. I made sure we got all of the necessary permits to open. I made everything from bank and get a roll of quarters so we could open it to cash till, or at least my team did. And then we would open the location, and then we had local management that would report to the operations group, and we finished basically the punch list on the building and then I was done with the location.
In your master group, you have about 400 people you mentioned.
Yeah.
Do any of the members do deals with each other and not necessarily with massive capital?
They definitely do. So, because again, it may not make sense if we're not needed. So for example, one of our students, we just celebrated a Wednesday. We have a call every Wednesday night. They celebrate all the wins, and he managed to buy an RV park 100% owner financed. And he's got a couple of joint ventures within the group. There's no need to syndicate it. So again, he's used folks within the group, but they don't have to exclusively do that.
Very interesting. So it sounds like a great group, and the price tag, even though it's can sound steep for some, must be obviously worth it because
Yeah.
you know
Well, so many other programs are similar price, and I'll be honest, they teach you enough to be a barking dog chasing a car. I
right,
mean, that's all they do. That's all they do. They teach you enough to go chase a car, but can you really catch the car?
exactly,
Where
exactly.
I consider, and again, one of the things that really works with our program, we start all of our deals as a 506B. And so 5 people will join the deal, and 5 people will bring their friends and family in on a 506B. So again, I don't know those investors, but they know those investors. I only raise between 20 to 25% of the capital needed for the deal. So I'm kind of like, I just make sure it all happens. But you all come in. And then again, most of them are first time GPs. So when we switch it to a C, we do all of the marketing, we set up all of the webinars, and they invite their people to our webinars where I'll conduct the webinar with the lead sponsor. But when your leads come, you'll just work your leads that come to our webinar.
What's the largest in terms of purchase price deal that Massive Capital has done?
So we partnered on a 28 million deal, but we weren't the lead. The largest one for us was 16.9 right now.
And as far as debt that you're getting on the properties, these are mostly agency debt. Are you getting
They're
bridge loans?
mostly agency debt. So but right now we are buying a property because it's unstabilized, but we didn't get a bridge loan. We managed to get bank debt.
Got it.
And so we got bank debt. And then on our RV parks and assisted living, they are bank debt as well, full recourse. And same on the construction, they're full recourse. And so when we do one of those deals, there's a lot more risk. So those deals, our split will probably be 50-50. And then our split on the deals where we have non-recourse debt on stabilized property, it's a 70-30 with a 7% pref.
Got it. And if the pref is not able to be paid, if it's a value add, that would get accrued?
That's correct.
Got it.
We
Okay.
don't get paid till they're at least the 7% hold.
As far as property management, what do you guys do about that? Are you
So
hiring third party?
we use whoever happens to be the best in the city, which is getting more and more to be a struggle. I know it's always been a struggle. So like our asset in San Antonio, 2 years, we're on our third one. Now they've been there 6 months and it's so much better. And we will use, because we're very concentrated, right? So we're San Antonio, Dallas, and Houston. We weren't big enough yet, but we're getting there to where we can have a medium-sized property management company. Because again, our San Antonio one's 204 doors, but most of the other properties are in the 50 to 100 range.
Got
And
it.
so those are the most challenging to get the good property management for.
What's the minimum size deal that would you guys would
So
execute on?
in Denver, we have an 18 unit. And that's the
Interesting.
very smallest, very smallest. And again, that's with a local partner. So it's a little bit different, yeah, but most of them are 50 and above.
Interesting. Very nice. If you had to guess, or maybe you know the answer, what is the net worth of your mastermind masterclass
So Massive
combined?
Capital has 230 million AUM under management.
But what about the entire? Have you ever figured out the entire,
We
all the members?
Those are just the ones that we're partners on.
Got it.
And then some of our other partners from the original real estate group, they have about 60 million, and that's not added to the 230. And then our real estate group that we partner with on the retail, and again, we're only on 2 deals. They've got a lot of deals. They're about 250 million. But they're what we call a merchant builder. So they buy the land, they build, they lease, they sell. The number fluctuates greatly.
What do you do for fun when you're not talking real estate?
It's sad. I don't have a life. This year I've been more focused on my health. So I've been taking classes at the gym, and I've really, it's tough that you get to be an old man like me, and it's just hard to focus on your health. And I've spent a year really pounding it, lost 40 pounds, which was really good. I do
Tell me the secrets. I
basically
need it.
it's like an ultra class. They call them ultra total fit, and it's like a 60-minute total body workout. Yeah, and so I've been doing those for a year now.
Okay.
Made a big difference in my life, and and I have a daughter that lives still back up in Canada, so we've now got to the point where we can go up there for about a month. And so I have a niece that we stop in Nashville and see on the drive up, and then I have a daughter, and then I have a sister who lives up in Northern Ontario. And so, we were there last October. Canadian have Thanksgiving early, so I had two Thanksgiving last year, which was amazing. One at my sister's, one at home here.
Got it. Got it. So you have no life, as you say. Are you watching any good TV lately? I know based
I'm
on your
hooked on Landman.
okay, so
I don't know if you guys or anybody on the show's been watching Landman, but
yeah, so I did
I
have
got a bunch of
somebody.
friends in oil and gas, and it's just, I don't know, it's a good show.
I did have a previous guest mention that he is watching Landman as well, and I told him I really enjoyed the first season. I didn't really get into the second season, but that's more me than the show itself. It's
Yeah.
just I'm just I love first seasons of shows, and then I sort of get bored.
Yeah.
Although I did recently watch Yellowstone. I was on a long
Okay. I've not
international
watched that
flight,
one yet. Yeah.
and I said to myself, I'm not going to watch a movie because then, what am I going to do for the next 8 hours of the flight?
Yeah.
I'm going to pick a show that's got like a million seasons. And if I like it, I could just, watch it.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. I must have spent between the two flights, I don't know, 22 hours combined watching the show. So
Okay.
I really got to enjoy it.
Yeah, we've
Um,
also started watching another show called Night Manager. Same thing. It's a series. We're on the third series now. It's basically a British agent trying to take down this guy. It's quite interesting. So we've been enjoying that one.
any good books to recommend?
So I always recommend Grant Cardone's. You got to do it on Audible, and then follow it by Be Obsessed or Be Average. Those I listen to them at least twice a year on Audible.
Wow. Okay. So you're at the gym, you're getting healthy, you're watching Landman at night, but no longer eating Oreos while you're doing it. Okay. Very nice. Tell our audience, I'll put it in the show notes, but tell our audience how they could reach you, website, socials, all that stuff, and I'll put it in as well.
Yeah, the best way is LinkedIn. So you just got to remember the K. It stands for Keith, by the way. I'm a junior, never called Keith. K. Trevor Thompson. LinkedIn is the absolute best way to get me. I respond to all the people that reach out and connect with me.
Okay, great. Trevor, it was great to have you on.
It's
Reach
great to
out
be here.
to K. Trevor Thompson on LinkedIn, and he will tell you all about his massive success at Massive Capital. If you enjoy the show, please share it with a friend, subscribe, listen on all the audio platforms. And I was told recently by some guy who claims he knows how the algorithm works. But even for every subscriber I get on YouTube, it apparently shows the videos to an additional 20 or 30 people out there. So I ask, even if you're never going to watch the show, just subscribe to the channel and do me the favor. And I really appreciate it. And Trevor, it was great to have you. Until the next time.